2,000 hives ourselves. We control everything through from producing the queens right through to packing the honey. We actually control the genetic stock that we actually have, and with that we bring in the ability to control disease, production and temperament, which is most important when you're dealing with 2,000 hives. For us, it's really important to have B-Qual for food safety. It's enabled us to actually get into the export market. So it gave us also a structure to work to. When my husband and I took over the management side of it, I knew nothing about running a beekeeping industry business. I was a nurse. Robbie he worked in the field, but didn't have a lot of management experience. It actually gave us a formal structure to work to based on industry best practice. And we decided to take that on board, and with that we've actually improved some of the documents, we've evolved with the program as well, and it's actually been the best decision we ever made. The customer demands a certain level of product, product integrity and quality, and with that B-Qual gives that stamp of approval and that stamp of quality. It stands for an industry best practice, and that helps us with our marketing and our marketing role. Requiring a HACCP certified program, which B-Qual is, enabled us to get into a number of export markets. So we export now to about 10 different countries, and with that we needed a base to legally show them that we could actually have a quality food product, and in that we could trace it if there was any issues that occurred in market or in transit to market. HACCP principles apply to every area that we work in the B-Qual program and for us. So we look at our major risk is identification with the product. Because we actually control right from the queens, we actually build the boxes, we actually go and collect the honey, we harvest it, and we also package the product. HACCP principles all the way through that process enable us to have security over the product, so the consumer is aware that they're getting a good quality product, and that we know when we go back and audit our systems through our annual review that we've done the right job, we've done a good quality job, and we can actually monitor the records. We've actually got a number of the records now into an apiary management system that one of our beekeepers in the field actually developed that, and it's a fantastic tool. He used the B-Qual records as the base of that tool. So we can actually now recall that in the office situation, in the field situation, and we can have live stream as well. To have that data at our fingertips, the system itself has been around, the management system now for about 6 years. The B-Qual original program, we were the first to actually go through that, so I think it's 18 years now, and we evolve it every year, so it's not a static program. The good thing about B-Qual is if you do something different or you find another practice that's better practice, you can actually involve that in all your documentation and improve the system. And that's the great thing about B-Qual. You've got the bones, but you actually put the flesh on it. The critical control points that we use are mostly, we find the identification of the honey source and the origin of where it comes from, then the identification again when it actually is extracted and put into our lots in the drums. Again, identification when it then goes into a batch to actually get packed up into a product. So that B-Qual system and that traceability is super important for us, and that is the cornerstone to the whole thing. We like to be able to trace it from the origins right through to the finished product. Current records that we actually use at the moment are the apiary management system, so that's more for the field, and in that we have movement records, we have harvesting records, we have disease identification, disease treatment and harvesting. So that's all in the apiary management program that we've got. When it actually comes to here, we then have the processing or extracting room. We've added a couple more onto that. We've also got temperature regulation as well. From there we go and we monitor the amounts of honey, so extraction records from the apiary site. All those boxes then in a biosecurity part, which is also part of B-Qual, go back to that same yard. From the extracting room, the other records we use are lot identification, where we monitor that lot to where it comes from, so the apiary site, when it was harvested. From there we will then go into the extracting side of it, and we'll look at packing records, we'll look at customer daily activity, we'll look at the daily processing. We've also added a weight check chart as well, which was a requirement for some markets. Also got another few different records that are in there as well. What we've done with the B-Qual program is if we identify an issue where we're not as good at and our training is probably needs to be improved, we then introduce a record into the B-Qual system to monitor our progress and how well we're going. So we use the B-Qual program itself to review our training and review how well we're performing in certain areas. B-Qual has been a great tool for us to use to, number one, work out best industry practice and improve on that as well. But we've also found we've actually pulled up and used it for research. We're currently involved in research through the university and the Cooperative Research Centre. So all the data that we've actually kept for our program, the B-Qual program, is going to be utilised by researchers, which is great. So that's something I actually didn't expect to do when we started the program. But we've kept all that data over those 18 so years, and that data is valuable, not just from a research perspective, financial perspective, legal perspective. So you've got those records you can pull on to push your case forward. We also use the B-Qual records to talk to the land managers and say whether they're impacting our sites or not, how productive those sites are, and also in the case for increasing numbers or decreasing numbers on those sites. So it's a valuable tool to have. Traceability for our business is a must. It's actually the quality stamp to the product. If you can trace your product and you have a customer wanting to know where it's from, the whole provenance talk comes into that. So we use the B-Qual program to actually support that information. We also have a lot of testing that we do through laboratories, and that's actually written in our B-Qual procedures and policies, and we use that as part of our badge of branding, I suppose, as well, and also how good we are to put out to the customer. We find that customers are wanting more and more proof of what you do. You can't just say it, you've actually got to show that you do it, and whether that's in producing the B-Qual paperwork, say this is how we do it, this is how we trace it from the start to the finish, and if you want to see this product, this batch comes from this area, and you can target that, and they can use that in their provenance story as well. It's a great tool, and you never know where you want to go in the future. It's a great tool if you've got 10 hives, it's a great tool if you've got 4,000 hives. It gives you a guide to know what to do, how to do it, and then to the level that you're expected to do it for the customer and for anyone else that wants documents. A lot of people think that B-Qual is just a lot of paperwork. When we first started the program, we were thinking it was going to be difficult, but we did it anyway. We found out that a lot of the things we do can be included in the B-Qual. So you can go super technical, you can have the computer programs, you can do all that, or you can stay simple and have your diary and have your written movement records in that. It is as easy or as hard as you want it to be. And if you're doing it already, you have a diary, you've got everything in that, you've got your movement records and you keep good notes in that, that will satisfy a lot of your B-Qual requirements. So don't be frightened that you've got to go and do all this extra stuff. You might learn something as well, but you might find that you actually do stuff really quite well. The good thing too about B-Qual is a lot of industry mentors out there, a lot of people that can help, and they're a great pool of people for that information. So with QR codes, we're looking at utilising that in the program. At the moment, our QR codes go back to our website. We do have the ability to have a small program written at the moment where we can actually bring that batch home. So we can actually go from the QR code to a database and the customer can get this is a valid batch. So you are getting an authentic product. That's where we're going to head in the future. So that's our next project, again, taking B-Qual a step closer to the customer. Having B-Qual #1 is a great marketing tool for us. We use that #1 badge and we float it around really quite well to say we are quality assured, we're industry best practice. Anyone with a B-Qual stamp has that quality assured B-Qual. That gives the consumer the confidence that you have some accountability in industry, that you have to look at your systems, that you have to review them, you have to learn from them, you have to train to them and above. Throughout different stages of our growth, we've had to bring in different equipment. So as we've grown, we look to our lean work, so look to what we need to produce a good quality product, obviously at a profitable ratio, and where else we can actually get income from and push our brand forward.